What will you do if the people who brought you into this world turned you into their daily means of survival? Imagine finishing secondary school with bright dreams of becoming a lecturer, only to be told that your dream ends there because you are the firstborn and it is time to take care of your younger ones. This is the heartbreaking yet inspiring story of Nkoli, a young girl whose parents turned her into a money-making machine. A girl who worked tirelessly, gave everything she had and was still told it wasn't enough. But life has a way of rewarding pure hearts. The same girl they used and abandoned became the one God lifted above them all. Stay with me as I tell you a story that will make you cry, think, and believe again. The story of how Nkoli's pain became her power. You are welcome to African Tales by Karma, where real life meets emotion and every story carries a lesson. If there was one thing everyone in Nkoli's streets knew about her, it was that she had the heart of an adult trapped inside a young girl's body. Even as a child, Nkoli loved teaching. Every evening, she gathered the small children in front of their compound, arranged stones as chairs, and used the stick to write in the sand. "Repeat after me." A for apple, she would say with pride, her small voice full of joy. The children loved her. The neighbors called her small teacher. Nkoli had a dream to one day become a lecturer, to stand before real students in a big classroom and teach them just like she taught those children. But dreams sometimes die too early in some homes. Nkoli was the first of 5 children. Her mother always said, "A firstborn is like a parent. You must carry others along." Her father agreed. He wasn't sick, but he had perfected the art of saying he was tired. Every time anyone asked him why he didn't work more, he would sigh and say, "I don't want to die before my time, oh." So Nkoli grew up in a home where her parents were still young and strong, but acted like they were 70. When she finished secondary school, she said, "Mama, Papa, I want to go to university." Her mother looked up sharply. "University? Where is that money, I beg?" "But Mama, I got good grades. I can." Her mother interrupted. "Listen, Nkoli, we can't afford it and we can't kill ourselves. It is time for you to help this family. You are the eldest and that means you have work. Look for something to do so that you can help us, your parents, and also help your siblings so they can go very far." That was the day Nkoli's dreams started to fade. To say she cried is an understatement. A few weeks later, she got a job at a big shoe store owned by Mr. Martins, a man known for his discipline and fairness. He liked her immediately. She was neat, respectful, and hardworking. She never complained, even when she had to stand for long hours or deal with difficult customers. Nkoli's life soon became a circle. Work, home, and then work again. She woke up every morning, cooked for everyone, and then rushed to the shoe store. Her father would still be lying down, stretching and yawning. Her mother would sit outside, chatting with neighbors about who bought a new phone or whose child got married abroad. No one ever asked Nkoli how she was coping. No one even cared if she ate before leaving. Yet, Nkoli didn't complain. She believed that one day things would change and that God will reward her patience. At the end of every month, when others were already planning how to spend their salaries, Nkoli's own money had already been spent by her mother. Sometimes, before payday, Mama Nkoli would already start with her family meeting tone. "Nkoli, remember your brother's school fees? It is 15,000 naira only. Your sister needs textbooks. It is 7,000 naira. And I will also need to make my hair because I can't be looking like an abandoned project where my daughter is working." Nkoli will force a smile. "Yes, Mama." That was her new life. "Yes, Mama." Even when she wanted to say no, she couldn't because she had been manipulated to believe that she's doing the right thing. There were times she would go to work with an empty stomach, but when her boss offered her snacks, she would smile and say she was fine because she didn't want to be pitied. Her colleagues often laughed about her humility. "Nkoli, "Why don't you ever buy new shoes?" one of them asked. She looked down at her cracked sandals and said, "This one is still okay now." But deep inside, she wished she could buy one pair from the store. Just one. One evening, after a long day, she stayed behind to help arrange the new shipments. Mr. Martins noticed how neatly she arranged the boxes, aligning them like a perfectionist. When the last customer left, she cleaned the glass display, and as she turned to leave, she saw an envelope on the counter. Inside was 10,000 naira. She immediately ran to her boss's office. "Sir, someone forgot this," she said, panting. Mr. Martins looked at her and said gently, "That was your tip from a customer. He said you have a good character." Uncle's eyes widened. "Ah, sir, I can't take it all. Please keep it in the company's money." Mr. Martins shook his head. "Uncle, it is yours. Don't be afraid to receive what you have earned." She nodded slowly, but as she walked home that night, her mind was heavy. She knew she wouldn't keep that money, and she didn't. As soon as she stepped into the house, her mother lined up problems that needed to be solved with the exact 10K. She gave the envelope up and went to bed sad. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about how invisible she had become in her own life. Weeks passed, and things didn't get better. Whenever Uncle's siblings needed anything, they ran to her, not to their parents. If she ever delayed, her mother would guilt-trip her. Those words hurt more than a slap. Still, she didn't change. She kept on giving, believing that maybe this was what good children do. Then, one afternoon, her boss noticed she was unusually quiet. "Uncle, are you okay?" he asked. She forced a smile. "I am fine, sir." "Are you sure?" "Yes, sir." But she wasn't fine. That week, her mother had borrowed money from a neighbor in her name and told her to pay it back once she got her salary. Her life felt like a burden she didn't volunteer for. Mr. Martins didn't know all the details, but he could see pain behind her calmness. He began to test her trust. Not because he doubted her, but because he wanted to understand the kind of person she truly was. One day, he sent her to deposit 150,000 naira at the bank with extra 5K. When she returned, she mentioned the extra and returned it joyfully. Another time, he purposely left money in her table drawer. She returned it as well. That day, Mr. Martins looked at her differently. He saw a girl who, despite having every reason to steal or lie, still chose honesty. One day she returned from work dusty and tired. Her legs were aching from standing all day, but she still went straight to the kitchen to cook dinner for everyone. That was her daily routine. Come home, drop her bag and move to the stove. Her mother was sitting on a wooden chair fanning herself. Uncle greeted. "Good evening, Mama." But Mama didn't answer. She was quiet, her eyes fixed on the pot. Uncle felt uneasy. "Mama, are you all right?" That was when her mother spoke, slowly like someone dropping a bomb. "Uncle, I am pregnant." The wooden spoon fell from Uncole's hand. "You are what?" Her mother looked up. "You heard me. I said I am pregnant." Uncle blinked hard. "Mama, we are already 5 children. How can you be pregnant again?" Mama hissed. "And so? Is it your body? God gives children when he wants." "But Mama, how will you take care of this one?" Her mother turned sharply. "That's why God gave you this job now. You are the eldest, so you will help out." Uncle's mouth opened, but no words came out. She stood there trembling. That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept on asking herself questions. Why would parents who can barely feed their children decide to bring another one? And why must everything fall on me? Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she didn't make a sound. Months passed, and her mother's belly grew bigger. Everyone in the compound congratulated her, but behind her back, they cursed her. Every time she went for an antenatal, Uncle was responsible. Her father would say, "My good daughter, Please let me see skate there. I will give you in 5 days' time. Unfortunately, that 5 days never came. One morning, Nkoli was already in her place of work when her father called, panicking. Nkoli, your mother is in labor. You have to come. Nkoli froze. But I don't need to be there now, Papa. I'm not coming there to help her push. Nkoli, my good daughter, it's about life and death, he said. What? Life and death, kwa? She dropped what she was doing immediately, obtained permission, and ran out like a mad dog. Her heart pounded as she saw nurses rushing around and her mother screaming in pain. The doctor walked up to them and said, "We have to do a C-section immediately. The baby's position is bad." Nkoli's father looked confused. C-section? How much is that? The doctor told him the price. His face changed. "I don't have that kind of money." Nkoli looked at him in shock. "Papa, you had several months to prepare for a day like this. Not that you have been the one spending in the house all this while. Papa, you have to do something now before it becomes late." He turned to her helplessly. "Nkoli, my good daughter, you are the one working. Help me find it, please. Before God and man, your papa no get shishi." Nkoli's knees weakened. "Me?" she whispered. "Yes, my child. Do something fast before something happens." She opened her small handbag and brought out all she had with her. It wasn't even enough for half of the amount. She pleaded with the doctor. "Please, sir, help her. I will look for the rest." The doctor shook his head. "We can't start without full payment." Nkoli stood there crying, not knowing what to do. Just then, someone touched her shoulder. She turned and saw Mr. Martin standing right behind her. He had followed her from work when he noticed the way she ran out crying earlier. "Nkoli, what's happening?" he asked calmly. Through tears, she told him everything. Without saying a word, Mr. Martins went straight to the reception and paid the full amount. Nkoli fell to her knees and cried. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." Hours later, her mother gave birth to a baby boy. Everyone rejoiced. Everyone except Nkoli. She was grateful her mother was alive, but her heart was broken. 4 days later, she was discharged, and instead of saying thank you to her daughter, she looked at her and said, "That's why God gave you that job." Nkoli stared at her in disbelief. "Mama, can you even hear yourself?" Her mother shrugged. "Why should I thank you? You only did your duty. You are the eldest. If you don't help us, who will?" That night, Nkoli cried like never before. Her pillow was soaked with tears. She talked about everything. How her parents didn't send her to school and everything she had been going through. It felt like her life was being used to fix someone else's mistakes. By morning, her eyes were swollen, but she still went to work. The first person she saw was her boss. She greeted him with a weak smile. "Good morning, sir, and thank you always for what you did for my family and I." He looked at her closely. "Nkoli, you didn't sleep well." "I am fine, sir," she lied. He nodded slowly but didn't believe her. That week, he watched her carefully, how she still served customers with a smile, how she still arranged shoes neatly, how she still said thank you and you are welcome even when her eyes were tired. Then one afternoon, he called her to his office. "Nkoli," he said, "tell me the truth. What's going on with you?" She hesitated for a long time, then her tears fell again. She told him everything about her parents, about how she couldn't save a single naira, about the new baby she didn't even want to hold because of the pain it caused. Mr. Martins listened quietly. When she finished, he sighed deeply and said, "Nkoli, you have carried too much for one person. It is time to rest." She looked up in confusion. "Rest? But how, sir?" He smiled gently. "Don't worry, I will handle it." Nkoli didn't understand what he meant, but that day marked the beginning of her rescue. 2 weeks later, He called her into his office again. Uncle, I have thought about your story. You remind me of someone I knew years ago. She was just like you. Honest, hardworking and always putting others first. But her life ended too early because she never lived for herself. Uncle's eyes softened. She didn't know what to say. Mr. Martin sighed deeply. I can't watch you waste your life like that. You deserve a chance to live. So my wife and I made arrangements. You have been transferred to my other store in Enugu. It is a bigger branch and I will handle your accommodation. No one there will disturb you. Uncle gasped. Sir, I can't just live like that. My parents will, he interrupted. Uncle, listen to me. You have done more than enough for them. You can't save people who refuse to help themselves. His words pierced her heart like truth wrapped in kindness. If anything happens to you, I can tell you for free that they will move on so fast. That night, she went home quiet as always. Her mother didn't notice anything strange. Mama, she said slowly, I want to relocate from here. Her mother dropped her spoon. What? So you want to abandon your family, Uncle? Don't even try that though. Mama, it is just... Keep quiet, my friend, she interrupted. You think God made you the firstborn by mistake? Uncle's father joined in, frowning. If you go, don't ever bother coming back here. Uncle felt her heart sink, but she didn't argue. She went to her room, packed a few clothes that night and left quietly before sunrise. When she arrived in Enugu, she couldn't believe what she saw. The new store was twice as big as the one she had walked in. Her boss had already arranged a small but beautiful room for her with her own bed, table and even a small wardrobe. It was the first time in her life she had a space that truly belonged to her. She knelt down and prayed. God, thank you. Please help me not to disappoint this man. She resumed work almost immediately and she worked harder than ever. She treated the shop as if it was her own. She came early, kept records neatly, cleaned without being told, and attended to customers with kindness. When Mr. Martin's children came around during holidays, Uncle treated them like her own siblings. She laughed with them and made sure they felt comfortable. Everyone in the shop loved her. Even the manager said, Uncle is the reason things run smoothly here. Mr. Martins kept testing her trust. He increased her salary to see if she would change, but she didn't one bit. He was amazed and then he made up his mind. When he visited Enugu branch, he said to her, You are young, bright and capable. You can be more than this. So tell me the truth. What do you really want to do with your life? Uncle's voice broke. I want to go to school. I want to become a lecturer, but I can't because life has chosen to be unfair. He looked at her for a long time and said, What if I told you that this dream is still possible? Would you believe me? Uncle stared at him with hope and fear fighting inside her chest. Yes, sir, I will believe you. Then I will pay. Uncle froze. Sir, please, don't say that if you don't mean it. He laughed. Why should I joke with something like this? I mean it. You deserve it and I believe you will make me proud. Tears rolled down Uncle's cheeks. She knelt down and said, Sir, I don't even know how to thank you, but may God take away anything that will make you and your family cry. From that day, Mr. Martins took over Uncle's life like a guardian angel. He enrolled her in a university, paid for her tuition, and made sure she had everything she needed. He told her, Your only duty now is to study. Leave the rest to me. Uncle threw herself into her books with joy. Every time she opened her notebook, she remembered all the nights she cried silently at home, and she promised herself she would never go back to that kind of life. Back home, her parents began to wonder why she hadn't come home and why they hadn't heard from her. They went to Mr. Martin's branch over there to ask questions, but he smiled politely and said, Madam, if your daughter didn't tell you where she is, then why do you think she would tell a stranger like me? They are left there in shame. But deep inside, Nkoli's mother knew her daughter was finally free. Something strange began to happen. Nkoli's younger siblings, who once depended on her, refused to behave like her. They told their parents, point blank, "You shouldn't have given birth to us if you know you weren't ready to play your roles as parents." Well, now that we are here, we are not Sister Nkoli and we can never be. Thank God you are still very strong and healthy. So go and walk. Otherwise, there will be serious trouble in this house. Their father had no choice but to start driving a keke, and their mother began doing petty business. While they were struggling, Nkoli was enjoying. She was finally living, not just existing. She could finally hear her own thoughts, plan her own future, and feel what peace actually sounded like. At school, she became known as the quiet girl with a sharp mind. She answered questions confidently and helped her classmates with difficult subjects. One day, her roommate Amara asked curiously, "Nkoli, how come you don't go out for parties or have a boyfriend?" Nkoli smiled gently. "I am already in a relationship, but with my future." They both laughed, but Amara didn't know how serious she was. Back home, it wasn't funny at all. Sometimes when Mama Nkoli counted her daily sales, she would sigh and mutter, "Nkoli, you did me dirty. How could you even think of leaving us?" Yet, deep inside, she knew Nkoli didn't just leave. They pushed her away. When she finally graduated, she didn't just pass. She graduated with first-class honors. Mr. Martins was so proud that he threw a party for her. "Nkoli," he said, raising a glass of wine, "you are proof that background doesn't determine destiny. Let's go master this baby girl." Without wasting time, Nkoli got admission for her master's degree, and of course, Mr. Martins paid every fee without blinking. She continued to excel, calm, disciplined, and focused. When she finished her master's with distinction, something remarkable happened. The university offered her a lecturing job. It was the exact dream she had whispered to God years ago when she cried on her pillow. The day she received her appointment letter, she knelt on the floor of her apartment and cried uncontrollably. But this time, it was tears of joy. She picked up her phone and called Mr. Martins. "Sir," she said, her voice breaking, "your baby girl is now a lecturer." Oh. There was silence on the line, and then Mr. Martins said with emotion, "Thank you for not disappointing yourself, and thank you for not disappointing us as well. God bless you and make you excel in this new journey." A few weeks later, Nkoli decided it was time to return home to see the people who once made her feel like she was born to suffer. When she arrived at her parents' house, the compound looked smaller. Her mother came out slowly. "Nkoli," she whispered, surprised. Nkoli greeted, "Mama, good afternoon, ma." Her mother broke down with tears. "My daughter, please forgive me. We didn't know. We thought we were helping you, but we used you. I am so sorry." Nkoli replied gently, "Mama, I forgave you long time ago, but I also want to say this, that you used me to build others. You turned me into an adult quickly, and that's so unfair." Her mother nodded, crying harder. Her father came out as well, looking older than his age. "Nkoli, we were foolish. Please forgive us," he said. Nkoli smiled sadly. "Papa, I have moved on. Tay. I will always support you people, but I won't carry the whole family again. I will send what I can every month, but I will not live under pressure." They both nodded, ashamed but relieved. That night, she slept in Mr. Martin's house, thanking God she didn't die in the storm. By morning, she thanked Mr. and Mrs. Martins immensely and, of course, with deserving gifts. He looked at her proudly and said, "Nkoli, my daughter, You are now a woman of your own, and I am so happy we are part of this journey. Now, go and make others see that pain doesn't and shouldn't end in failure. Thank you for making us proud and for also making us see reasons why we should continue helping in our own little way. And that was how Unkoli's story ended beautifully. Hey, African Tales by Kamo Tribe, how are you all doing? For me, I am doing just fine. You will all agree with me that this is not just a story. This is what we are experiencing in these our times. And I'm asking, what is even happening in our generation? Parents are turning their own children into breadwinners, and that's why many of them can no longer correct their sons or daughters when they go astray. Now tell me, how can you discipline a child who now paid the bills? And how can you advise a daughter you have been milking since she was a teenager? We have reversed the order of life and we are giving it a name to suit our irresponsibilities. Listen, being a parent is not a title, oh. It is a responsibility and it is a duty assigned to us by God Himself. He entrusted to us creatures made in His own image and likeness, and He expects us to care for them, and it is not even to be treated lightly. It also means a service to Him. So if you fail in raising your children and in providing for them, you have failed. Not just failed, but failed big time. God didn't give you children so they could carry your cross. He gave you children so you could raise them to carry their own purpose. When you push your child to become your daily bread, you are teaching them to see love as labor and family as a debt. Many children don't even want to get married, and all thanks to the kind of parents they have. Some of you are angry that your children no longer listen, but you lost their respect the day you made them your provider. Stop calling it help. It is not help when it is demanded, and it is not love when it is forced. Please, dear parents, work while you still have strength. Ask God for wisdom, because one day those children will grow and the bitterness of being used will stay longer than the memory of being raised. And to every firstborn or struggling child listening to me right now, hear me clearly. You are not selfish for wanting to rest. You are not wicked for choosing your peace. God didn't design you to live as everyone's rescue plan. He designed you to fulfill destiny and still have joy while doing it. Love your family, yes, but never lose yourself in the process. Balance compassion with wisdom. Give, but don't bleed. Because at the end of the day, when you stand before God, He will not ask you how much you suffered for others. He will only ask you if you lived the life He called you to live. On this note, I sign out from today's story. Kindly drop your thoughts in the comment section and please give the story a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to this channel, I beg you in the name of God to punch on that subscribe button. And until I bring the next story your way, it's a goodbye from here and God bless you.